So we're going to ask Professor John Remedios to just introduce the project to you. So John, are you able to unmute yourself and talk?
Yes, I am, if you can
Brilliant.
hear me okay.
Perfectly.
Okay, there should be a couple of slides, I think, that we were going to just put up. Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining. I'd like to express my appreciation both to you for your interest and to the team for the hard work that it's taken to get to this point. Undoubtedly, the Earth Observation Data Hub has been a great opportunity to do something for data infrastructure in the UK, affecting potentially improving the abilities and capabilities for a great number of people. But it's also a complex and challenging project. And the team have worked very hard to get us to where we are and continue to work very hard as we develop and implement the system to something that people can work with on a regular basis. I'd also like just to remark at this point to thank the people who have funded this effectively, DSIT, Department of Science and Innovation Technology, money provided into the Natural Environment Research Council, but also particularly, we've been looked after and are formally looked after now by the UK Space Agency as part of the Earth Observation Investment Programme. So, bit of thank yous and sort of context there. Let's get to the main bit of the meeting. So, first of all, the Data Hub itself, I just want to make clear that this is a Pathfinder project, but with a clear intent to provide the basis, the specifications, the beginnings of improved evidence for how access to EO data and access to the infrastructure around it that makes use of that EO data is important for us in the UK. We haven't had a national data infrastructure for a long time, and it's already clear in the same way that having a National Centre for Earth Observation or a Satellite Application Catapult, it's already clear it provides a real focusing of attention and potentially a capability to do things much better than we did before. The whole point about the Earth Observation Data Hub is that we have a lot of expertise and, in fact, a lot of data and computing capability and experience that's present, that's not actually very joined up, and it's not very accessible to the broader academia, government, and business. And that's important for all of those sectors. I won't go into now all the rationales for that, but I think you can imagine why already by your presence here. Couple of things I want to really emphasize. There are a lot of things that one can do with the Data Hub, and a lot of layers at which you can do it. But there are two principal things that we would like to get to. One is there's no doubt that although there are mechanisms now for improving access to Earth observation data, they tend to be single program or single entity, like a commercial organization. They don't necessarily have very, very easy, very fast routes into that data for a non-expert, and they don't give you necessarily the quality and confidence information that you might want to reassure yourself that you're okay to press on. You can find all of those things, but it might take a great deal of time on the web for you to do that. And quite a bit of time actually, as we've experimented to code up that, even if you have that knowledge, or to then use it within your reporting. So the idea is to make that a lot easier. And so trust and trustable and review is an important point, but also how easy can we make it? Now, to give you an idea of the spread of data sets, not necessarily the total range, but the spread, we have everything, or we can get access to everything from public free data like Copernicus Sentinel data to science data, which you might find less easy, but actually the UK produces a lot of science data through other fora like the Copernicus Climate Service, the ESA Climate Change Initiative, our own NCEO offerings, which are actually brought to the community through other mechanisms, not through this previously. But also crucially, I think, commercial data. And one of the things that we've been exploring with our commercial data partners, as you'll hear, is how we can access that data. And still considerable work to be done about how you can improve that tail so that people can reap the benefits of that commercial data. And indeed, commercial data providers can provide data to a larger a group of the community in a much faster and easier way. But you'll see some of that through that. So that's the first point. The second point is that often what you want to do is either to process that data to something different, or you want to incorporate it into your system, whatever that might be. That might be a simple approach. You might be just doing some particular operations, but wanting to site it around some ground or in situ data. You might be wanting to link it to a dashboard or something like that. You might want to, at a more sophisticated level, be trying to use several satellite data sources. So you have a consistent time series, or you might be trying to build that data, that satellite data into a model. For example, that is actually quite common, and some of the most successful applications of Earth observation have indeed been through that route. And the weather forecast that you see today is a primary example of that, but not the only one. There are oceanography models, there are hydrology models, there are inverse models for deriving greenhouse gas emissions that all incorporate satellite data into some modeling system. So the second thing the hub does is provide a flexible environment to be able to do your work. And we'll be describing today for you how that operates. Okay. So those are the two the big things that we want to bring across. Now, if we could, so just focus on this slide. I've covered a number of these points here, but I think these words, unique, flexible and sustainable, fully tested and authentic, you hopefully got some insight into. Obviously, to cover all four of these in the way that we would like to takes considerable work. So this is a work in progress. But I think the uniqueness certainly is in the fact that we are trying to supply or work with all of the community, and indeed, therefore, help the interactions between what we traditionally sort of separate as functions: R&D, government and operational use, business, commercial use. Fully tested, I should say a word about as well. That's important to be this authentic and give you that credible and authoritative data. This is an area where the UK is amongst the world leaders and trying to push the boundaries here. And clearly that means that that's still a work in progress, but hopefully you'll begin to get more of a flavour as we bring out the service. So the final word I want to say before I hand over, and there's lots to do in this workshop, is just to say a word about the future. So the project is at the moment has an end date of the 31st of March. However, having said that, we are working very hard with government funders to look at next year. As you might understand, if you have received government funding, those formal letters of budgets from the October budget are actually not fully out yet. And so there is still a bit of a hiatus while we try to establish that. We will also be looking at other ways in which you can operate the hub, but our primary focus at the moment is to deliver a service, to actually get the platform into being so that the users can use it. And then we'll be looking first at the government funding and then at other flexible ways in which people can come in and funding over this month where we don't distract from delivery too much. So I hope you enjoy the day. I'm afraid I can't be with you this morning because I'm at a briefing at the UK Space Agency, but I will be joining in parts this afternoon. And I know the team, there's a big team here who put a lot of effort into the day. So, and it's really meant to be interactive and collaborative. So we can build from what you feed back, and we will certainly be encouraging you to work out where this helps you, who else it helps, and what the next steps could be that would offer that step change, which we think we're already arriving at. Okay, so thank you. I'll pass on to others, but wish you a very good workshop, and thank you to Emma for bringing the slides up.
Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you. Oh.
Thank you. If you're ready, Alastair, I'll hand back to you to share. Thank you.
Excellent, yes, that'd be great. Thank you very much, John, for that. And you are right, we do have a lot to get through. So let me share my screen for the next session. I think it should be this one. Hopefully everybody can see my slide there. Okay. Yes, so as we said, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us today. It's great to see so many people here. I just want to quickly go through what the purpose of this workshop is so that we're all on the same page. Before I do so, actually, I just need to make sure you're all aware that this is being recorded. So if you don't want your face to be on screen, then please feel free to turn your cameras off. So the purpose of the workshop today is to introduce the work that's been completed during the EODH Pathfinder project, which has been running now for about 12 months, and to showcase the existing functionality on the system. So one of the things that I think is wise to say is that the system is still in development right the way through to the end of the Pathfinder. And with that being said, I think today will be very useful to obtain feedback from you guys who are attending about what you like, what you think might need to change, types of things that you would like to see in the system as it goes forward. Because if there are small things that we can change, who knows, they might get into this period of development. If not, then they can be put on a backlog and we can use that feedback from you in order to try and obtain further funding going forward. The other purpose of the workshop is to provide test accounts for you to use. So we have early tester accounts. We've been in touch with some of you asking for GitHub accounts, and as we go through the day, we will be able to explain to you how you can use those accounts on the hub. So as you can see from this slide, there is a lot going on, and I'll post this into the chat in a minute once I've finished presenting. We're currently in the introduction to the team and workshop, but we are going to go through a whole series of different things. So I'm not going to go through each one of these in turn, but we'll try and keep to time as much as we can. So if you want to drop out for whatever business reasons you need, and then you want to jump back in, then that's fine as well. We will be having a break between 10:30 and 10:45, and lunch is between 12:30 and 1:15. And we're going to try and keep to these times as much as we can. A couple of sessions I do want to highlight. So 10:45, we have a series of demos for an hour. There's different components that we want to showcase. So there'll be some live demoing there. And then similarly at 2:30, there's a practical run through as well. So if you're interested in understanding how you can use some of the tools and some of the code to interact with the hub, then that's one that you might want to come back to. And finally, at 3:30, I strongly recommend that people come back for the What Next session, which will be a session where we'll be asking primarily for your feedback. Having seen everything that we're presenting today, what is it that you want to see in the sort of next iterations of what's been happening in this project? So just to give you a quick overview of who's involved today, and as John was saying, it's a big team effort. So people with responsibility, as it were, for the delivery. On the CEDA side, that's Fede, Telespazio, who have been doing the core build of the hub. That's Alastair Kyle, myself representing Oxidian, putting together the technical content, and then Emma at the Satellite Applications Catapult. You'll see a lot of her as well, trying to gain feedback from you at different sessions throughout the day. None of this would be possible without the support team as well, and I'm sure maybe I've missed some people off, but hopefully not. So we've got at NCEO, Gemma and Eleanor have been heavily involved in creating this. At Telespazio, so any sort of technical questions around the hub, Stephen and Tom will be able to help out there. And then anything to do with feedback and sort of the Slido links and various things like that, Nidhi at the Applications Catapult can help out there as well. We also have people from NCEO and CEDA online who can help with any governance questions. In terms of expert content, we have partners from SparkGeo, Spirosoft, Airbus, and Planet, and they'll be talking throughout the day as well. So any specific questions for them, please do interact with the chat. In terms of how the workshop's going to run, keep an eye on the chat. Questions can get dropped in there and will get answered. Also, there will be various links throughout the day to things like Google Forms, to Slido, things like that, to garner your feedback and to allow you to sort of post questions that maybe we can take away and then answer again in future. With that, I'm going to pass over to Emma to quickly talk about this next few slides.
Thank you. As some of you will be aware, we started off this project with a significant amount of user engagement. So we interviewed a number of people across different organizations, through academia, through industry, and within government as well, to try and understand what some of the key expectations were for a Earth observation data hub. There were some very common sort of themes that came out of those conversations when we were talking to people. There was a requirement to have something tailored to UK user needs to address specific use cases. There was desire to bring EO infrastructure and imagery all into a single place and be able to run analysis on the platform without needing to keep moving data around. There was a hope that we could provide something that would help to facilitate collaboration among different stakeholders and different sectors that currently are working on very different systems and can't always work together on the same data sets or similar projects together because they don't have access to the same platforms. So that sort of sets into context a little bit about the user expectations that we have brought into what has happened on the hub from that time. Could you go to the next slide, please, Alastair? Forgetting I haven't got control here, which is probably a good thing after sharing my screen instead of the application just now. We also had to look at the functionality requirements that people had, and there was a few key things that people really wanted to see. Useful visualization tools for non-expert users. There was a request for tools that could help facilitate climate change study for the effects and future planning of climate change. There was a request for a good API with spatial and temporal search capabilities to try and make sure that we have a good complementarity between sensors. Looking at how to make data as visual and easily presented towards decision makers, making sure there's a great data access available through the hub across different data types and providing catalog for that together with support on the data that's there. And also to have an intuitive front-end interface. So we have been working towards all of these elements to try and build that into the delivery of the hub. And so during the course of today, we will be asking for some feedback. If you could go on to the next slide, please, Alastair. There will be a number of different ways that we'll be collecting that. So there will be the Slido being used in most sessions. And if Alastair doesn't mind, I'll bring up the results of the first two questions in a second so that you can see the spread of people that have joined today. The Slido results, apart from one question, will be being shared throughout the course of the day. So you will be able to see what people are submitting. And there will be later on today some application demonstrations, and for that session the feedback is requested by Google Form to allow you to more freely express what you actually want to say about the demonstrations. Throughout the day, please do use the Zoom chat to ask questions. You can do that by sending that to everyone or sending it to specific people within the Zoom chat. Any of the people that Alastair highlighted earlier that are helping helping and supporting with issues during the day will be there. Gemma and Nidhi in particular will be available to try and help with some of the questions. Nidhi will help with the user engagement on the Slido, and Gemma will be available to help with your more general questions as well, as will the rest of the team. Alastair, if I can just pop up those Slido results, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, go for it.
Just bear with me a second. Get the results up. And here we are. So this is the question that we had at the beginning: which organization do you represent? And we've also had, and currently live, is what is your level of experience with Earth observation data? So if you're just joining, oops, apologies, that is the active poll. If you are just joining now, we've got what is your level of experience with Earth observation data. We've already seen some of the feedback coming in on this question as well. We've got quite a lot of intermediate users, as you can see here, but we've got a good range of people within the room today. So we are trying to make sure that we cover as much as we can for a range of different users during the course of the day. So do please ask for any clarifications if you require them throughout the day. Slido will keep popping up during the course of the day, so do please continue to input into that. It will be using the same general link for each of the questions that comes up. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you, Emma. That's really handy to see the different ways in which we can interact throughout the day. So with that, I'm going to end session 1 and move on to the next session where Fede is going to introduce the Pathfinder project.
Good morning, everybody, and my name is Fede Moscato. I do work in CEDA, and I'm a part of the delivery team. And what I would like to do today is to give a little bit of an overview of the Earth observation that has been a busy year and a lot of great interaction, and just to showcase what we achieved on this year. And as John was saying, we are still in the Pathfinder project. Few weeks to go and still a development that is happening, but we want to also as well to give a little bit a snapshot where we up to. So John went through the slides, but actually what I would like to do is to go back on what Emma was saying regarding the user expectation and feedback, user engagement and feedback expectation. So, and it's quite important as well, because we don't want to develop anything that is not fitting for the purpose of the user. So what we have done, we took with them a few areas on the user expectation and user engagement feedback expectation, and essentially I regroup it in areas that in bucket as infrastructure, tooling, data, and collaboration. And I just would like to go a little bit an overview how we tried to solve through this last year on various aspects. So to start with, something that is always very important is the need for, and then as well is why we started this project. And again, that from the user perspective, and why we had the need for an Earth observation data hub platform. You know, I mean, one of the comments, there are so many platforms, why another one? And one that is targeting the UK. So we know that there has been the proliferation of different data sources, and this could be very, very challenging for the application supply, for the application providers, for the users to essentially to the targeted right platform. So there are a lot of questions regarding fragmentation, regarding platform, but also the fact that the data sometimes required transformation and is not suitable in formal analysis and is not harmonized between the various platforms. So there is essentially a gap that has been accessed on the a gap that has been accessed between the various platforms. So what we see, the hub is going to be to fill this gap, and this will go to provide a software toolkit to facilitate the development of application and to exploit the observation data. It's going to integrate a multiple data source and integrate their own and give the ability to the user to integrate their own workflow. Now, how the hub looks like. This is how this, what we worked in the last year, and we are really glad to present to you today. And as you can see, there are 3 layers of the hub. We are starting from the data, then the infrastructure, and then as well from the the application layer. So regarding the data, we are going to go, today we have very pleased that we have both Planet, FI, and Airbus that are going to give a little bit of an overview of the data integration that is going to be happen on the that is happening right now on the hub. But our idea essentially was to work together among these 3 different layers while we were developing to ensure that all the layers, they were communicating with each other, especially on the application layer, to develop alongside the platform to get really the feedback to the platform and to the developer of the platform to build something that is fit for purpose for the user, for the end user. So on that sense, I'm not going to go too much in detail on all the functionalities because we have all the day today to go through the various functionalities of what has been achieved during this year, and also they're gonna the application suppliers are much more better fit in that sense. But I would like to go back on what we say regarding the user engagement and the area that we selected as such the data. And one of the areas that was to have complementary sensor, more spatial coverage and multi-sensors. So we tried to solve this one working both with Planet and Airbus and as well accessing CEDA itself becoming a data stream and federating its own catalog, but as well working with this twin project that is called EOSIS, the Earth Observation Climate Information Service, to provide data from the Sentinel data set, so the big open programs to climate data, to projection data in the sense of CEDA, but then to arrive to the very high resolution and medium resolution and the very high resolution provided by both the commercial providers. So in this sense, it really working, providing different data sets and different resolution and coverage in the same platform. Simplified the data visualization and the presentation for the decision makers, and improve the data access. Of course, we are waiting for you also from your feedback for who is going to be interested and to give you some feedback today and the course on the next weeks to go to see how if the data access has been improved. On the area on the infrastructure, we have been working with the platform provider, Telespazio, and the idea was to bring all imagery to one place, so the data will be accessible from one platform, where will be available the data processing space, and everything should be, is running on AWS, so where the cloud processing system, and as well, we're going to provide analysis capability on the platform. So the platform on the platform in that sense. An area that we tried to really work hard this year, it was the tooling. And why is that? We wanted to ensure that we would like to ensure that to give all the users, and also various type of users, so not only expert but also novel user, a set of easy access points for the Earth Observation Data Hub. And the toolings, we had Oxidian, and today with represented by Alastair, that will go through. Their focus was really to create all the toolings and training material to have a quick start for the users. But not only that, we did work also with other application providers, particularly Spyrosoft and Spygeo, to create a set of toolings for a different type of users. So not only expert, but also novel type of users. We are working also with to create an intuitive front-end interface in that sense, and data processing area for the user to bring their own analysis on the platform. And something that I also would say that I'm really excited regarding the project so far has been the collaboration. Something that we often speak in the Earth observation domain in the UK is that we need to breaking down silos, and silos from research, from the academia to the commercial to all the end government. And the project so far has been quite championing this angle. And in particular, you're going to see today one of the applications that is called Claret, developed by Spygeo, that is using data that have been developed in the academia. And it was quite interesting, actually, the fact that we've been working on these three layers, so data, platform, and application. We've been able also to connect directly application to data providers and data producer. So I'm very excited for today to share, for all the suppliers to show all what has been accomplished so far. Something for you. This one is the web presence of the hub. Please scan the QR code or link on the link that is on the slides. And we're going to share also in the chat for your convenience. And where is going to be the access point for all the hub, to access the hub, to view the various functionalities, but also to access the various documentation for the hub, the type of data sets that are going to be shared on the hub, and there is a lot of links on how to get started and how to create a link. But while you're going to see today that on the hub it will be possible to share, to access in a multiple ways, what we would like as well to engage with you in the next few weeks is a scenario that we think that would be useful to get feedback and also to have other users to test it. And what we call is a data analysis scenario. And just to give an overview of this data analysis scenario, we would like to have a user to access their workspace, be able to discover data, and they could discover data through the Stack browser, we're going to see today, the QGIS plugin as well that we are going to see, but also through the Jupyter Notebook. And if interested in commercial data, we order commercial data, copy the data in their group and workspace, and run analytics. And the way to run analytics would be just with the Jupyter Notebook. We created a few Jupyter Notebooks for users to start to interact with the app. And today we will be showing a few of these notebooks. We have a repo completely ready for the users, repository completely ready for the user if they wanted to interact with the app through the Jupyter Notebooks. And what we are also offering to our early testers is access in the next few weeks, is the access to the staging platform for 14 days, support from our help desk team with a dedicated one-to-one session and bi-weekly drop-in session. And this is the reason behind it, because we really wanted to support our early testers and get the feedback, but support to get the best from the what has been developed so far on the Health Observation Data Hub. And access to open data sets, of course, but as well to commercial data sets. And in this case, with the Airbus, we're going to have a test data set available on the platform. It's the test evaluation EULA will be signed, and commercial data available under the NCO contract if submitting a case study at the end. Planet for the early tester will be allowed to specify an area of interest and access data over a time period that does not exceed the 10,000 square kilometers in total. We have both Airbus, Planet, and I today, so that we're going through the details of the data offering for the early tester. What I would say that please get in contact today if you're interested to be an early user, an early tester, and saying that I'd like to conclude my presentation and just saying please get in contact with us for any question, any inquiry in with the help desk email that is inquiry@eodhub.org.uk. Thank you.